What's going on, everyone? How we feeling? I am Jelani Akil Bowman. Welcome to the very first episode of Music History for the Culture. I'm very excited about this. This is something I've been wanting to do for a very long time, and we're here doing it right now. Um, Music history, specifically Black American music history, has been a passion of mine since I've been playing music. And I want to utilize that passion to shed light on many individuals and time periods that I feel have been overshadowed or neglected. And I want to get this information out there as best as I can, doing my part in doing so, because I feel like the culture, the way the state of the world today is, especially in the United States, uh, is heavily influenced by the contributions of individuals and time periods that took place, in the 20th century, the early part of the 20th century, and so forth. So history, it's like our flashlight into the unknown, and we have to always appreciate it, never take it for granted. So I'm going to be utilizing this platform to do my part in doing so. So the first several episodes, we'll be focusing on the large ensemble known as the big band. We're going to be focusing on big bands that were active between the years 1920 and 1960. Before I get started, I want to break down what a big band actually is. A big band is a large ensemble which consists of various instruments. You usually find 3 to 4 trumpets in a big band, 3 to 4 trombones, 5 saxophones, piano, bass, drums, and guitar. These instruments are categorized into sections. The trumpets and the trombones are categorized into the brass section, be it that these instruments are brass instruments. The woodwinds or the saxophones are categorized into the woodwind section, also known as the reed section. The piano, bass, drums, and guitar are categorized into the rhythm section. To help us grasp a more in-depth understanding of the inception of big bands during this time, I would like to take a moment to bring light to a time period known as the Great Migration. The Great Migration took place during the early 20th century. During this time, we see 6 million Black Americans move from the Deep South to northern cities such as New York, Philadelphia, Chicago, St. Louis, and Detroit. The main reason for this huge exodus from the South was a way for Black Americans to escape the racist culture and the Jim Crow laws that were going on during this time. Another main reason was to find new economic possibilities, new opportunities in regards to jobs and so forth. Musicians who were living in the South during this time were no exception to this migration. From New Orleans, we see composer and pianist Jelly Roll Morton. We see cornetist King Joe Oliver. We see saxophonist, clarinetist Sidney Bechet, and we see the soon-to-be well-known cornetist Louis Armstrong take their talents to Chicago. We also see the great Duke Ellington and Fletcher Henderson, who was a phenomenal composer and band leader in his own right, take their talents to New York. To compete for work, many Black American musicians realized it was necessary to develop a product that shared many of the similarities and musical stylings of dance orchestras. The dance orchestra was a great source of entertainment for people in New York and Chicago. With this being said, even though it was necessary for the musicians to develop a style that was similar to the dance orchestras, it was very important that the Black American musicians implemented their own culture and their own experience into their presentation. We see Duke Ellington and Fletcher Henderson utilize New Orleans polyphony and a heavy involvement of syncopated rhythms into their music. Once people started hearing this unique sound for the first time, it was very captivating, and it picked up really fast. We see Duke Ellington uh, he has the opportunity to have a residency at a venue known as the Cotton Club in Harlem, where he was able to use this space to continue to develop his art and and to develop his following, his notoriety. The the Roseland Ballroom was a venue where Fletcher Henderson was able to do the same. Once this music started to hit the airwaves, it became a craze. People all around the country began to hear about it and wanted to listen to more and more and just be totally spellbound by this music. With this with this happening, this only led to opportunities for these bands to go on the road, and this is where we see uh, the big band evolve into another space of significance. Be it Duke Ellington and Fletcher Henderson and folks of this caliber were based in New York. They taking their music on the road and going to small towns in the Midwest and in the South was a very exciting thing. You can kind of view the big band as sort of a musical amusement park in ways in regards to when it was time for these people to travel to these smaller towns. So you have to think that this is a time before YouTube or Instagram. The people in these rural areas in the Midwest and in the South never had any type of exposure to what the big cities were like, what New York felt like, what Chicago sounded like. So it was a true blessing for the development of the big bands during this time. They were able to take that energy, all of the vibrations that were going on during this time. You have to remember that when Duke Ellington was rising to his level of fame, this is during the Harlem Renaissance as well. So many things are happening, on the social scenes of New York and the black community. They were able to take these sounds to these people around the country, and the big man just served a new purpose, had a new role for the culture. Duke Ellington, Fletcher Henderson, some other names we'll get into, such as Jimmy Lunceford and Cab Calloway. These people became the vanguard of Black American culture. As we proceed with this series, I'd like to focus more on individual big band leaders. We'll be sharing more information on their music, the various band members that came through the orchestra, and further information. Next episode, we're going to be focusing on the great Fletcher Henderson. And tune in and tell your people, you heard me. Peace.